Hello.
And Tony.
Hello, Tony.
Hello.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hi,
P&Z
Tom.
worked out well tonight, Mayor.
Pardon?
P&Z worked out well tonight.
Yeah, I watched you.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did, yes.
Well, then I'll ask you, did it work out well tonight?
It worked out well, yes.
Okay, okay.
Good evening. Welcome to the May 3rd, 2021 Mayfield Village, Ohio Council Caucus meeting. It is 7 p.m. This meeting has been duly noticed and will be held in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22, specific to recent amendments made in light of the current COVID-19 declared emergency, House Bill 197, amended by House Bill 404. Under the orders of Governor DeWine and the Director of Health of Ohio in pursuant to Ordinance 2020-08, adopted March 16, 2020, Council will be meeting remotely via electronic means. No one will be in council chambers or able to access that space during the meeting. The public is invited to view the meeting live and can access the meeting through a link posted to the Mayfield Village website at www.mayfieldvillage.com. Mayfield Village will conduct these proceedings in compliance with all applicable state laws and regulations. First is pending legislation. Ordinance number 2021-04 entitled, an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance Section 1501.08, unfriendly fires in building, alarm duties. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2021-04 will be moved to second read for the regular meeting of council on May 17th. Next is ordinance number 2021-05 entitled, an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance Section 1183.10, improvements to parking and loading areas. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2021-05 will be moved to second read for the regular meeting of council on May 17th. Ordinance number 2021-06 entitled, an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance Section 1501.12, conflict. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2021-06 will be read second reading for regular meeting of council on May 7th. Next is ordinance number 2021-07 entitled, an ordinance repealing Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance Section 1383-06, automatic fire detection systems in existing buildings in its entirety. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2021-07 will be on second read for the regular meeting of council on May 7th. And last is ordinance number 2021-08 entitled, an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance Section 1383.03, buildings and occupancies requiring automatic fire suppression systems. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2021-08 will be on second read for the regular meeting of council on May 17th. Next is Mayor Bodnar.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to take a moment to recognize and give a shout out to our own resident, Donna Kless. Donna was recognized in the May issue of the Community Partnership on Aging newsletter as a volunteer superstar. She volunteered over 116 and a quarter hours of her time last year on behalf of the CPA, and that's quite a feat even in a non-COVID year, but given the pandemic last year, that was quite an extraordinary contribution. So congratulations to Donna, you make us all proud. That's all I have for this evening, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Bodnar. And thank you, Donna Kless, as well. I would like to say happy birthday to John Morelli. His birthday is on May 29th. So happy early birthday, John.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next regular meeting of council will be on Monday, May 17th, and we will be meeting virtually. Next, we have Clerk of Council.
Yes, just announcing that Community Shred Day will go forward on Saturday, June 19th at the Mayfield Village Civic Center from 9 to noon. The shredding will be run the same way that the one in October was run, where we'll have the service department help out. The residents can remain in their cars, and we will take out the boxes, and we'll be following masks and social distancing. But once again, that's Saturday, June 19th from 9 a.m. to noon at the Mayfield Village Civic Center parking lot.
Thank you, Mrs. Betzel. Next is administration.
Yes, thank you, Council President, and hello to Council. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. John Morelli and I provided a memo in your packets on Friday with a free proposal from Branstetter Carroll, who is the architect group that we had hired previously to look at the Civic Center. And we gave you an estimate of the probable cost to expand and upgrade the main restrooms and the kitchen here in the Civic Center to make them all ADA compliant. The state of Ohio is providing the village with a $200,000 grant for this purpose, and the project has to be completed by June of 2022 to be eligible for the funds. Branstetter Carroll's fee proposal is $30,000, and it includes the design, preparation of the construction documents, taking the project through the bidding phase, and performing construction administration. This fee represents less than 10% of the project cost, actually 9.8%, and we believe that's a reasonable fee. If council's agreeable to their proposal, an agreement and resolution will be prepared for approval at the May 17th meeting. During the design phase, which will begin this month, John and I will work through the details with the architects, and we may look to include some additional work to expand some of the doorways in the building to make them ADA compliant as well. $500,000 was budgeted for improvements to the Civic Center this year, and part of that budget includes replacement of the building's second boiler, but that purchase will be completely separate from this project. We're not including that here. As we finalize the design, we'll share it with council, and we'll welcome your comments on it at that time. I did want to mention the schedule that was included in Branstetter Carroll's letter said construction could begin as early as August, but I think it's more realistic to plan for September or late September. If we do the bidding in July, we will likely be coming back to council in August for approval of the bid. And so John and I are both here to answer any questions that you might have. And if you don't have any, then we'll proceed to have the agreement prepared and bring that back to you at the regular meeting.
Ms. Wogomuth, are you looking at doing any kind of renovations to the common room, the community room that's right attached to the kitchen at all?
The Civic Hall, no. This would be strictly the restrooms in the kitchen.
Well,
Thank you.
there'll be a new roll down door, I guess, which is on the common wall, so you'll see that much.
Okay.
Does something like this typically go out to bid, or
Yes,
Yeah, it has to.
yes.
I'm saying for the $30,000 fee?
Oh, no, because we had already gone through that process, probably a year or a year and a half ago. We did a request for proposals for architects, and we ended up hiring Branstad or Carroll to do the work on the Civic Center. So they've already done like so much preliminary work, all the measuring of the entire building. I think if we went back to get another architect, we'd be starting from scratch again.
Okay, and then my one follow-up question, this is in connection with, you know, the 3 different plans to making the Civic Center ADA compliant, I would imagine. So are we going to be doing it piecemeal from here on out? We're scrapping, you know, tearing down the building, building a new one as an option, and going about it that way. I don't think I got that bridge between, you know, that and now this.
Yeah. Well, we had decided not to do the complete renovation and not really look at the raising and rebuilding. And I think we had pretty much put everything on hold until we got these grants. And when we got $200,000 in grants from the state of Ohio, we had gotten one last year and it got extended, like the time period to use it got extended through next summer because of COVID. And then we got another $100,000 grant in January of this year. So at that point, we decided it made sense to use that money because we know no matter, unless we were raising and rebuilding, if we're going to keep this building, the restrooms really do need to be redone. And they're not, we have no ADA compliant restrooms in the building right now.
If I can chime in, I think, Diane, we had sent out a memo that maybe we could get another one of those to Denny or Mr. Murphy, I'm sorry, that explained a couple of things. And one of them was before we plunged tons of money into a possible project where we would demolish the current building that we're in and build a new one, we really wanted to do a study on the intersection area at Wilson Mills and 91 to make sure we knew what was the best thing for that area before we started doing things piecemeal. And the other thing that came up last year, of course, was the pandemic, which also led to some uncertainty as to what the future would look like in terms of income for Mayfield Village. And the dust is starting to settle, but it hasn't settled fully yet. So those are some of the reasons we decided to go with this more compact project at this time.
Yeah, I'm a lot of things have changed since we've seen those 3 proposals, and I'm not saying I'm for tearing down the building and reopening it. It's just I may have missed that memo or didn't see it, and now I'm seeing this pop up, and so thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to find that and I can resend that to everyone. And Council President, if there are no other questions, I do have a short public service announcement. Mayfield Village is hosting Memorial Day, a celebration at Whitehaven Memorial Park on Sunday, May 30th at 1 p.m. Resident Mary Singer is working with the Recreation Department on the details, and Mayor Bodnar and Police Chief Matthias have agreed to be this year's speakers. And I also understand that Council President Shutt will be serving as the Master of Ceremonies this year. Everyone is invited to attend, and social distancing protocols will be followed. Each year, volunteers place thousands of flags at the graves of all veterans in the village. If any of you can help or know of anyone that wants to help, they should meet at Whitehaven on Saturday, May 29th at 9 a.m. And further details can be gotten from the Recreation Department. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Wogomuth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morelli, as well. And thank you all for your
Welcome.
comment.
Sure.
Next is the White Road lease.
Yep, on 6516 White Road. If you recall, we purchased this property at the end of last year and made a decision to try and to rent it out while we wait to acquire further property in that area for potential commercial development. Over the winter months, we invested maybe, I think, under $5,000 and a bunch of man hours from our service department to get the property ready. Then we contracted with Patty Gata, a local village resident, and a realtor with Howard Hanna here in the town, who went out to work on our behalf to secure a tenant. She used a software program, a service called Tenant Magic, where they evaluate applicants based upon their credit as well as their income to rent ratio. And when she went to market on it, within the first couple days, we had about 20 applicants. They were all screened, and then we came down with one who received a credit recommendation of yes with a 5-to-1 income to rent ratio. They were on a quick track. They needed to be out of their place they were in by May 1st. So we met with the mayor, and with the approval of the mayor, and contingent upon council's approval, we tentatively approved the lease agreement, and they did move in on May 1st. Then requested the special meeting this evening to formally approve the lease agreement. It's a 1-year lease for $1,650 a month. I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has on that.
If there's no questions, keep on moving along. Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Next, engineer.
Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to go over, I sent a memo last Thursday regarding Progressive and Peter B. Lewis Drive. Progressive wants to do some improvements, some pavement repair and on the concrete roadway, and then resurface it with asphalt. They also would like to have the area on the, it would be the west side in our right of way. There's some slope issues that need to be repaired. So I sent in the memo, you'll see a little dedication plat that was that shows Progressive or the Peter B. Lewis Drive. We don't own the entire area. We just own this entrance part, which is about 40% of the length of the improvement or area of the improvement. The estimated cost at this point is about $175,000, which includes all the pavement work and some design work. We'll have better ideas of the exact numbers once Progressive receives their proposals or bids, and then we review them.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Capello.
Welcome.
Moving along, Mr. Coyne for the law department.
Yes, Council President. The item I'm going to address is actually listed under the police department, but I've spoken to the police chief about this, so he's well aware of it. So we've been asked to enter into a mutual aid agreement between Mayfield Village and the Mayfield Village Police Department, as well with the parks, the Board of Park Commissioners of the Cleveland Metro Park District and the Cleveland Metro Parks Police Department. The reason they're doing this, they've had these arrangements in the past, but they've been very informal. And a mutual aid agreement is entered into between jurisdictions that have law enforcement officers. It can be done with other types of departments as well. But this is being proposed as a written document that would be entered into. And it would provide reciprocity for the police department of the village to render services if needed in the Parks District and vice versa. So if for some reason we needed additional law enforcement support, they would also provide such service. If it's not an emergency situation, it would be required that they get permission from the police chief. But if it were an emergency situation, it might be something they'd have to make that decision quickly. There's no indemnification between the departments, so we're all self-reliant on our own insurance, and we are also able to utilize 2744, which is the immunity statute of the state of Ohio if something would happen. So once we enter into this agreement, it would accommodate what's really often available to separate jurisdictions with law enforcement authority, and it can be terminated on 30 days notice. So it's kind of a belts and suspenders between two political subdivisions. Any questions?
Does this have anything to do with the fire department also as a mutual aid
It's
agreement?
just law enforcement and the police. The Metro Parks does not have a fire department, so the fire department would provide services because of the coterminous boundaries between the two.
So that wouldn't be considered a mutual agreement?
Not really, although I haven't really looked into that or been asked to look into that. But the fire department, for example, unfortunately for the Metro Parks, I will say in some respects, is, does the inspections for their buildings and properties. They're in the service area for the village, so they have to comply with our fire code regulations and have done so. They can go to the state as well. It's sort of a complicated process for some of that, but they have and do meet with the fire department for fire inspection for some of their facilities that are in the park district within the village.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Coyne. Next is the Service Department, Mr. Cypress.
Thank you, Council President, and hello to Council. I'm requesting the hiring out of fertilization of our sports fields, baseball and soccer fields. The fertilization was done within our department by Paul Burns, who has since he's retired, and he held the license for pesticides as well. So we currently don't have anybody who has that license within the department. So I received 3 quotes from True Green, Dynagreen, and Ecolon. True Green came in considerably lower, and they currently hold our contract for other properties. And due to the safety concerns with the storage and handling of this product, just at this point, I feel much more comfortable to let the professionals handle it and take over the fertilization of those sports complexes. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Since there's no questions, we'll keep on moving along. Thank you, Mr. Cypress.
Thank you.
Are there any other matters that come before council tonight? Since there are no other matters, we are adjourned. 7:20 p.m.
Hey, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Good evening. It's 7:20 p.m. Welcome to the special meeting of council for Mayfield Village, Ohio. This special meeting of council is duly noticed. It is being held in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22, specific to recent amendments made in light of the current COVID-19 declared emergency, House Bill 197, amended by House Bill 404. Under the orders of Governor DeWine and the Director of Health of Ohio, and pursuant to Ordinance 2020-08, adopted May 16, 2020, council is meeting remotely via electronic means. Mayfield Village is conducting these proceedings in compliance with all applicable state laws and regulations. Mrs. Betza, may I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Jurasek,
Here.
Mr. Markart,
Here.
Mr. Myers,
Here.
Mrs. Mills,
Here.
Mr. Murphy,
Here.
Mr. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Schott,
Here.
Mayor Bodnar,
Here.
Mr. Wynn,
Here.
Mr. Cyclos.
I'm sorry.
Roll call. Present.
Present.
Thank you, Mrs. Betza. Please remain seated as I recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on to the open portion, the The public was encouraged to view this meeting agenda and offer any comments or questions limited only to the agenda items prior to the meeting to be read into the record and addressed at the meeting. Comments and questions were accepted until 6 p.m. this evening by sending an email to our clerk of council, Mary Betza. Mrs. Betza, have you received any comments?
No, Council President, I have not.
Thank you. We have resolution number 2021-16 entitled,
An emergency resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and president of council to enter into a lease agreement with Abigail Tucker and Robert Stowe for the purpose of leasing the real estate located at 6516 White Road, Mayfield Village, Ohio.
Motion to pass.
Second.
discussion.
Again, this is a one-year lease agreement that commences on May 1st for $1,650 per month. After the year expiration, the lease continues on a month-to-month basis until either party makes an decision to notify of a desire to terminate.
Any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Mrs. Betza, may I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Jurassic,
Yes.
Mr. Markwart,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mrs. Mills,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. Now I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Betza, may I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Jurassic,
Yes.
Mr. Markwart,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mrs. Mills,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Stout.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned. It is 7:24 p.m.